All right, let's jump in. So, good morning, everybody. I'm excited for everybody that is joining us today to follow the journey of certified compostable food service packaging as we move backwards on its life cycle. This is our third webinar in the 7-part webinar series, and today we're going to learn from 3 municipalities from across the country who have a ton of experience running food waste collection programs. We have a county, small city, and a large city, and I'm very excited to have our presenters share their wealth of knowledge with us as we explore municipal strategies for collecting food scraps and compostable packaging. As I've mentioned in the past, on behalf of BPI and myself, we're extremely excited to be here with you all and very grateful to our presenters as we continue this series highlighting successful programs throughout the country. My name is Jorge Montezuma, and I'm principal consultant for Wani Organics, a consulting firm working to expand composting infrastructure across the country. I've been working with BPI in this series since last year, and I will be serving as the moderator. We will start off with a brief background on BPI, touch on the 7-part webinar series, and then hear from our speakers, and we'll wrap up with some Q&A. You're welcome to ask questions in the Q&A chat throughout the webinar, and they may get answered in the chat itself, or if not, they'll get answered in the formal Q&A at the end of the hour here. Please note that this webinar will be recorded and published online except for the Q&A session. The Q&A portion will be recorded and may be used for educational purposes by BPI at a later date, so definitely stick around through the end to hear the Q&A session. We plan to wrap up things by the end of this hour, so we'll jump right in. I'm going to hand it off now to the new BPI Director of Marketing and Communications, Leslie Rogers, to tell us more about BPI.
Thank you, Jorge. And let me just echo a big thank you to our presenters for participating in this and sharing their knowledge and wealth with us. A little bit on BPI. So founded in 1999, BPI is the leading authority on compostable products and packaging. We are a 501c6 membership-based organization of stakeholders throughout the organics value chain. Our vision is a world without organic waste. Our mission is to support the shift to a circular bioeconomy by advancing policy, standards, research, and science-based verification of compostability and biodegradability. We have 3 core objectives. Claims. We want to advance trusted and scientifically based standards, research, and claims. Adoption. We want to align and collaborate with stakeholders across the value chain to advance BPI's mission. And then we focus on policy. We want to influence policy that supports a systems-based approach to products and materials. Again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being part of our mission and vision. And I will turn it back to you, Jorge.
Thanks, Leslie. So as I mentioned, we're continuing today on our third webinar on this 7-part webinar series. This is what the journey looks like. We are devoting single webinars to various portions of the life cycle, working our way backwards. We launched already with using compost made with certified compostable products, where we heard from Spurt Industries in Michigan, AgriCycle in Pennsylvania, and Nature Cycle in the Northeast with projects on how compost made with food scraps and certified compostable food service packaging is used. This compost is used in farms all the way up to rooftops, meeting various and different types of quality standards applicable for a variety of uses. These companies manufacture and or use high quality compost in different applications with a lot of success and demand. In May, during the second webinar, we heard from Black Earth Compost in Massachusetts and SET and Dakota Prairie Compost, both located in Minnesota, on how these 3 composters are using windrows and ASPs, aerated static pile methods, to compost effectively food scraps with compostable packaging as well. The recordings of these 2 webinars are on the website, and I encourage you to check them out if you haven't already. Today, we'll dive into learning about how 3 municipal programs are able to manage successful food scrap collection programs. We'll hear their best practices and what they have learned along the way. The next webinars include private food scraps hauler programs, and then we'll move into the fall where we'll learn the details of the BPI certification process. And lastly, we'll wrap up the year and welcome the new one, learning about how certified compostable bioplastics are made, and lastly, about fiber products. Throughout the series, we seek to highlight successful programs and best management practices that could be used to improve other programs and operations throughout the country. So now I'm going to pass it off to Gina Van De Walle, sorry, figuring out how to pronounce your last name. Turn off my screen here. And Gina is the communications manager for Howard County Bureau of Environmental Services. And let me backtrack just a second. So Gina is with Howard County, Addison Tansom is with City of St. Louis Park in Minnesota, and Pat Kaufman is with the City of Seattle. So we're going to start with Gina, then Addison, and then we'll wrap up with Pat. All right, so back to Gina here. So she's the communications manager for Howard County's Bureau of Environmental Services. She has over 9 years of experience developing educational and outreach materials for county residents and businesses. She coordinates with recycling and composting programs at the Alpha Ridge landfill, provides tours and presentations to community groups and schools, and manages expansion efforts for the county's Feed the Green Bin curbside food scraps collection program. Thank you, Gina, for being here today and to share about your work and the county's work as well. I'll go and mute it.
Thank you, Jorge. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. So today I will be talking about our Feed the Green Bin food scrapping program. As Jorge mentioned, I am Gina Van De Walle and with Howard County's Bureau of Environmental Services under our Department of Public Works. So today I'll be discussing this program, who it's available and intended for, all collection guidelines, what we're able to accept in our program and how we collect, and finally, how we engage with the community to increase participation in our program as well as use of our HOCO Grow compost. So for those of you who are not familiar with Howard County, we are essentially very centrally located in Maryland between Baltimore and DC. And when we talk about Howard County, it's important to mention who we're collecting from. So our curbside food scrap program is specifically designed for residential collection. And we are currently collecting from about 97,000 households throughout the county for trash and recycling services. Now, some of the county is still relatively rural, so many years back we created a yard trim collection boundary, and everyone within that boundary to the east side of the county received weekly yard trim collection for an additional fee on their property taxes. And everyone to the west opted out of yard trim collection because for most of them, they were able to compost on site or take their yard trim to Alpha Ridge landfill. So when we developed our curbside food scrap program in 2011, we designed it to be a commingled program. So we were really targeting the 68,000 homes, which within that yard trim boundary. So over the years, we've been adding on new zones. Each collection zone represents about 6,000 homes. And that brings us up to today. So we are currently servicing 58,000 out of the 68,000 eligible homes in our curbside program. So we just have about 1.5 areas left to expand to. These folks in the green areas receive weekly collection, and that is transferred to the red dot to Alpha Ridge landfill. That's our county landfill where our composting facility is. So as I mentioned, we do have a commingled program. So we are taking all food, raw, cooked, leftovers, plate scrapings, of course, all yard trim, since those residents already have yard trim collection. It's an added service now for food scraps. And we take any BPI certified compostable products and packaging.
The image at the bottom is actually the label that is on all of our marketing material, as well as the collection carts that are out at the curb. Okay, so it's important to mention that although there are 58,000 eligible residents, they do need to actively opt into the program. So it is voluntary. We don't have any ordinances requiring that you participate in a food scrap collection program if eligible. So we do ask our residents to sign up online or call our office or send us an email to join. We offer two sizes for outdoor collection. So we have a larger 35-gallon food scrap cart that is really intended for single-family homes or homes that have relatively large yard and will be setting out a lot of yard trim in addition to their food scraps. And the smaller 12-gallon that's really intended for townhome communities and residents without significant yards. When they do select their cart, we have an inspector deliver it to their home. In addition to their outdoor cart, they'll also receive an indoor countertop container. And inside that container, they will find a sample roll of BPI certified compostable bags that line that container nicely, as well as a refrigerator magnet that includes that same imagery from the last slide. We do send them to our website. Our feedthegreenbin.org website gives them information about where they can buy additional BPI certified bags for their indoor container. And lastly, but most importantly, they now receive year-round collection service. So for residents who have yard trim collection only, they actually receive collection between the months of April and mid-January, and then we take a break. But food scrap collection is, of course, year-round, so they get year-round collection service. I did want to also talk about that although our program is designed to be residential only and we're not really at capacity to accept anything commercial, we do make an exception for Howard County Public Schools. Once again, it is voluntary, so we ask schools to come to us and request that if they want food scrap collection in their cafeteria. So currently we have about 5 schools participating, and we do provide them with signage and training. So we have recycling staff on hand during the kickoff event when we introduce the program, as well as throughout the year if needed, and especially at the beginning of a school year when most people have forgotten the program and what's acceptable. We do require that they use BPI certified compostable bags in their large brute containers for collection. Unlike our residents, we do give them twice a week collection because we are averaging about 100 pounds of food waste per day at these schools. A nice part of this program too is that the schools are already purchasing certified compostable lunch trays. So the students are able to just drop their trays with any food remnants right into the green bin. All right, so what have we learned from our many years of expanding this food scrap program? Well, what we found is that cart size really does matter. When we initially started the program in 2011, we had offered a larger 65-gallon cart, thinking that bigger is better. And what we found was that residents who chose that large cart size tended to only use it for yard trim and did not include many food scraps at all, yet we still saw food scraps in the trash during our periodic waste sorts. So we quietly eliminated the option for a 65-gallon cart and really pushed the idea of the smaller 12-gallon and really pushed the idea of separating out your food scraps and setting them out, even though we do, of course, accept commingled yard trim. We found that's had a major increase in participation. Because we have a opt-in program, we found that gives us a very low contamination rate. So based on our last 3-season organic sort, we saw less than 1% of contamination throughout all of our green bins, which is I think, pretty good. One of the things that I think anyone who is considering a curbside food scrap program is going to look at is if they want it to be solely food scraps or a commingled collection. We found that commingled really did increase the interest in the program. It just made it a lot easier. We already had dedicated trucks out on those routes collecting yard trim. So for us, it made a lot of sense to have it be a commingled program. Because we've been, slowly rolling out to new areas of the county and introducing this to new areas, it's really gained a lot of public awareness. One of the number one questions that we get from the public when we host events or table at other events is, when is the green bin coming to my neighborhood? So it's maintained a lot of buzz just because it's been a very gradual expansion process. Lastly, our participation rate, as you can imagine, is lower than expected because it is an opt-in program. So unfortunately, what we're finding is that of the eligible households, only about 40% are reaching out and requesting carts from us. And within that 40%, we're seeing lower participation on a weekly basis. So about half of those residents are setting it out every single week. We would like to see participation increase, so we are actively looking at ways to increase, especially among our condo communities who we do service for trash and recycling, but because they don't have yard trim collection, we're not able to add them onto our food scrap collection route. So that is something that we're actively looking to improve on. And then finally, I wanted to bring back the idea of using the compost because, it's more than just collection. We want to see our compost in use by the public. So our HoCo Grow compost is available for purchase, but we try to offer what we call bag it days to really give back to the community and especially those that are helping us create this product. So we recently had our bag it days 2 consecutive Saturdays in the spring where residents could bring any container, any bag, and fill up as much as they wanted of our compost. It was very successful. We had about 300 visitors over the course of 2 Saturdays, and we gave away about 100 cubic yards of material. Because our material is not bagged, this is a great way for us to really encourage reuse and reducing plastic waste in addition to food waste. And that is everything. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Gina. Appreciate it. Would you mind letting us know when the food waste collection programs is started? I think I may have missed that.
Yes, it started in 2011. So we've
2011, great.
every few years we add on additional areas of the county to receive collection.
Great. No, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, I really like that learning that you started with a bigger bin and had to figure out how to get that food waste. So you had to switch gears a little bit and use the smaller bins. Thanks so much, Gina. Our next presenter is Addison Tansom. So while I give you your intro, you can turn on your slides. She's a solid waste specialist for the city of St. Louis Park, Minnesota. So we're moving from the east towards the west. And there she oversees solid waste programs across multifamily and commercial sectors. She plays a key role in public education efforts aimed at reducing contamination and increasing participation in the city's Curbside Organics collection program, which was established in 2013, and its organics drop site program for multifamily residents, established in 2017. She also leads the implementation of the city's food packaging ordinance for food establishments. And in addition to her municipal work, she serves as a board member for the Minnesota Association of Recycling Managers. So thanks, Addison, for presenting today, and I look forward to seeing what you have to share.
Thanks for the introduction, Jorge. Hello, everyone. My name is Addison. I'm a solid waste specialist for the city of St. Louis Park. Again, thank you to BPI for the opportunity to share our city's organics recycling story today. I'll walk you through our journey, highlighting what's worked well, challenges we've overcome, and how compostable packaging is integrated throughout our programs. To start with a quick overview of St. Louis Park, we are located in Hennepin County, just outside of Minneapolis, and we have a population of about 50,000 residents. Roughly half of our residents live in single-family homes, and the other half is in multifamily housing. Our city provides organized curbside collection, serving 12,300 households. Here are a few of our program milestones. We launched our Curbside Organics program in 2013 with organics commingled with yard waste in one cart. Jump to 2017, we piloted our first 3 organics drop sites for multifamily residents. And that same year, the Zero Waste Packaging Ordinance went into effect. In 2018, we transitioned our curbside program to collect organics and yard waste separately. This required a citywide cart re-stickering and a major education campaign to our residents. In 2022, we expanded our drop site program from 5 sites to 11 sites. And today, we're continuing our outreach efforts to increase our participation rates. This chart shows participation over the last 10 years. The orange line represents the number of households signed up for organics collection, and the green bars represent the tons of organics collected each year. Initially, residents paid a separate fee for organic service, but in 2017, we rolled the cost into our general residential service rate, and participation jumped significantly. By the end of 2024, we were just shy of 43% participation. It's a rate that we are proud of, but we are determined to increase. So what is working in our Curbside Organics program? First off, all residents receive a welcome kit that includes a program guide on what is accepted and a yearly supply of compostable bags. So every resident signed up each year can come back and pick up compostable bags from the city. We've also made signing up easier with prepaid mail-in postcards. Residents fill in their information, indicate which size organics cart they'd like, mail it back to us, and carts get delivered within 2 to 3 weeks. Our haulers also visually inspect every cart and leave educational tags directly on the cart if there is contamination. The carts are left untipped until that contamination is removed. Residents do a great job of reaching out to us if they have any questions about correcting that issue. Our organics drop site program has bridged the accessibility gap for our multifamily residents wanting to participate in organics programs. All 11 drop sites are located on city property, and they're nearby multifamily properties and on existing hauling routes. We're proud to say that every multifamily property is within 1.5 miles of one of the drop sites. Multifamily residents that sign up for the program also receive that welcome kit with the yearly supply of compostable bags, and they receive a welcome email that reveals the exact drop site locations. Of course, we've had some challenges to overcome. We quickly learned which sites were most popular and saw them overflow, and we were able to add more carts to these locations and later add more drop site locations to help with capacity. We also had park user contamination, so we added locks to the carts. With Minnesota winters, we do have to remove the cart locks when the temps are below freezing because the locks kind of jam up and they're very cold on bare fingertips. City staff conduct weekly inspections of each of the drop site carts. This is on the right here is a snapshot of what my photo library looks like, and I'm sure many of yours look the same. These inspections give us the opportunity to remove contamination and also educate residents on specific mistakes that they are making. When there is reoccurring contamination, like this ice cream carton example, I'll occasionally add a temporary sign to the cart to clarify. This specific issue was corrected after just 1 week of having that sign on there. Collaboration and support from our communications team has allowed us to be consistent and creative with our organics recycling education. We mail out a 24-page expanded recycling guide every few years and have at least 4 pages dedicated to organics. Organics content is also included in almost all of our quarterly city newsletters. Seasonal tips are sent through our email listservs, and our website is regularly updated with an accepted materials list. Social media in St. Louis Park on organics recycling has been a big hit. We post how-to videos and highlight the yeses and the nos, and these posts are consistently getting really strong engagement. This year we hosted an art contest to redesign the signage for our drop site carts. The winning design will actually be chosen later today, and these new signs will be placed on the cart in August. This was a really fun way to involve the community and try something new and bring attention to the drop site program. The Zero Waste Packaging Ordinance has made compostable packaging more familiar in our community. The ordinance requires food establishments to use only reusable, recyclable, or certified compostable food packaging. We support this through annual business education, site visits, and website recognition for compliant businesses. For events, we require food trucks to submit their packaging for review before the event. And we've noticed residents are really engaged in this ordinance, and they reach out whenever they notice a non-compliant business. All community events where compostable packaging is used must offer organics recycling. We staff waste stations with trained volunteers that we call recycling champions, and they educate at the cart and help attendees to sort their waste properly. I've also started to prepare reference guides for volunteers using the exact product information that's submitted on the food truck surveys. My final takeaways from our experience with organics programming are: 1, remove cost barriers where you can. We saw the biggest jump in participation rate as soon as that was removed. Engage residents as frequently and in as many different ways as you can. Drop sites can work out really well as long as you have staff capacity to monitor the sites. And lastly, volunteers at waste stations are essential to collecting clean streams at events. Thank you for your attention today, and feel free to reach out to me with any questions about our organics programs.
Great. Thank you so much, Addison. Really like the temporary signs and how they helped so quickly, and then also the new engagement program to get the community to get involved and learn about the drop-off sites with the artwork. Great. Okay, next we have Pat Kaufman with the City of Seattle. So I'll introduce you while you turn on your PowerPoint presentation. He brings 35 years of experience developing and coordinating programs to reduce waste. He currently manages Seattle's commercial sector program for recycle, compost, and reuse at Seattle Public Utilities. His collaborative approach to the work is informed by his 18 years at the Seattle Public Utilities and his previous roles developing and managing campus programs at the University of Washington and Seattle Center, and from his UW degree in community and environmental planning. As a founding member of the Reuse Seattle team, he's excited to help bring reuse to scale in facilities and organizations throughout Seattle. He recently returned to the Seattle Public Utilities from a year-long sabbatical where he was the city's reuse advocate with PR3, a non-government organization and global leader working to advance reuse. He was born and raised in the Pacific Northwest, and he lives in Seattle with his family and son. I'm excited that we're making our way over to the Pacific, highlighting 3 different types of municipalities and their programs. And I'm very excited for you to be here and share about Seattle's pioneering efforts diverting organics from the landfill. Thanks, Pat. Passing it off to you now.
Cool. Thanks, Jorge. Appreciate it. Thanks to Leslie and the BPI team for the invitation and opportunity to be here. Great presentation by Gina and Addison. I'm going to come at the municipal strategies approach from the commercial side solely. I can speak to the residential side a little bit as well, but yeah, I'll just jump right into it here. I got multiple slides. Let's see, make sure this advances. So Seattle's pretty big. There's a lot of people there. It's growing like crazy. There's communities all around Seattle, other cities and such. We're all located in King County. It's about 4 million people in the area. We have 8,000 commercial garbage accounts in the city, and there's about 5,000 permitted food service businesses. We spend a lot of our time in the commercial program focused on food service businesses because that's where the food waste is. Our 3 kind of guiding principles have been over many years to increase the diversion rate, to increase compliance with our requirements, and focus on service equity. However, more recently, we focus more on waste prevention and doing things that are more intentional to remove materials from the waste stream and not worry about the diversion efforts that are necessary. But I am an old school recycler. I'm a person from way back. I started in the 1990s, and it's all about diversion, right? So a lot of the way I work and focus on things is to help businesses deal with the material that they are currently having as waste, and then we also work on the waste prevention side of things as well. But we don't really do the work. We're Seattle Public Utilities. We're a utility. We're an agency. We have contracts, and we have our vendors. And this is a snapshot of our current contracted vendors, our hauling contractors, our processing contractors. Our job in the commercial sector, because of the way Seattle is set up, is really to connect the dots, to connect the businesses in our community with the service providers. Because in the commercial sector, it's not contracted, it's not required, it's open market. So while garbage services are regulated by the city, the recycling and compost collection service is an open market, and businesses can choose whomever they'd like to work with, or they could self-haul for that matter as well. I was looking at some of the slides that the other presenters provided, and I thought I'd slip this one in real quick, and I'll send you an updated PDF, guys. So it's just a snapshot to show, how things progressed over the years. There's a nice kind of symbiotic relationship between the commercial sector and residential sector. Sometimes you pass a law or you push for a new mandate on one side or the other, and it sort of helps the other sectors move into that space. I just want to mention that in Seattle, the ban of yard waste from the garbage was in 1989, and then we didn't really start commercial collection of food waste, well into the 2000s, and it was having the processors, the compost companies in our region at Cedar Grove and Lens, those are two of the ones we work with, and they were the ones that were able to become permitted to accept food waste. They were the ones who did some of the original testing of food packaging and some of the original processing of contamination and dealing with that. So it's really a partnership we've had over the many now decades, not just years, to try and build the infrastructure for collection. And so again, as this progresses on the commercial sector, we work to connect the dots. Service is a big side of it, like what's available to customers. but also the city, our role is that we lean into compliance, we lean into legislation, we lean into the idea of let's make it a requirement that folks do this certain ways. Of course, across the entire city of Seattle, whether it's a residential sector, single family, multifamily, or commercial, food waste is banned from the garbage. So is recyclables. The recycling ban actually went into effect in 2005. Oops, go back here. And the food waste ban has sort of staged into it a bit. 2014, 2016 was another year. We really have a different approach. Our ban provides that a lot of customers make the right choice. They understand that it's not supposed to go in the garbage, and they do that. But I tell you, with 8,000 garbage customers and you know, I don't know how many, 100,000 or more residential customers, it's difficult to maintain, you know, oversight on that. So we move through our work doing direct outreach, of course, responding to folks who reach out to us as well. But our targeted outreach is really to the food service sector on the commercial side. So if you're a food service business in Seattle, there are very specific requirements about what you need to do. The city of Seattle, along with other, I would say, progressive cities around the Puget Sound, Seattle area, have passed laws over the years to require certain types of diversion necessities or certain types of packaging requirements. And now the state of Washington is much more engaged in this sort of legislative kind of overview. Of course, we just passed our EPR law as well, extended producer responsibility. So that's going to bring a whole wave of different kind of ways of framing things moving forward and bringing the, you know, the manufacturers and the brands and everybody involved into the process as well. But that is not what this presentation is about. So I'll backtrack here into the residential and commercial focus work. The guidelines for what we collect for recyclables in our residential program inform the commercial program, and the same goes for compostables. We work to message to all the residents of Seattle what is allowed in their food and yard waste cart, and the same for recycling. And so in that process, what we work to do is maintain as kind of a synergy of like equal guidelines for commercial sector customers and residential customers. That's not a locked-in process. It's not perfect because, as I said, the commercial collection of compostables and recyclables is open market. And so the collection service providers can adjust the guidelines to deal with contamination issues or deal with non-certified materials, things like that. So on the commercial side, we as a city, our role is to provide our requirements, provide the resources we have, and really try and get people along the path to compliance, we like to say. I'm going to shoot through about 5 or 6 slides here about specific requirements in our state and in our city. This law is that, you know, straws and utensils, this is back a little while, were required to be compostable in Seattle. So that combines with the requirement that the state has now, which I'll get to in a second about upon request. But now I'll jump to the bag ban requirements. The bag ban requirements, again, that was a city ordinance. Many cities, there were something like 39 different jurisdictions across the state that had bag-related requirements. And so the state now provides an overarching, and it you know, preempts all of the local city requirements, but it does provide the option for compostable bags, which is good, an 8-cent charge for the other bags. This is the single-use service law, which I was just referring to, where Seattle requires that the utensils and straws be compostable. The state requires that those items only be offered upon request to the customer. So they're not automatically provided to every customer at a quick serve restaurant or even in a fast casual dining restaurant. The servers are not supposed to bring a straw in your soda to your table unless you request it. Of course, the other way of doing that is just having some straws available for customers to grab and use if they want to. The same goes for condiment packets and for cold beverage lids. So there's a lot of, again, you know, kind of shared engagement that we do from the state and the city level. Here's a big one that the state recently passed, and so this is effective now, and it's a labeling requirements across the entire state. So, and this blends nicely within the EPR law, and it's something that Seattle, with our requirements on food service businesses to use compostable packaging since 2010. So this really increases the awareness and understanding, and this is where, you know, companies like well, the various companies, packaging companies and bag companies, they're very much engaged in the process of understanding these new laws and making sure their products and all their products are labeled correctly. So those labeling laws are requirements on the manufacturers, but we go into businesses and say you need to be buying the correct packaging. There's also a styrofoam ban, which again, City of Seattle banned in 2008, but then the state came along and after there were so many agencies and jurisdictions in the state that had banned foam, the state had enough support to move forward with a statewide ban as well. And then the state provides lovely outreach materials that kind of work well with our outreach materials as well in the City of Seattle. And we provide these as an agency within the state. We can print these and send them out to our customers as needed. This is a screenshot of a whole bunch of different things from flyers and posters and stickers. And I really, I'm a big fan of this kind of approach of like really providing the tools necessary to message to your staff and your customers if you're a food service business or any business really. We also do a lot of work with workplaces, whether it's a food service business or just a workplace. We'll help to get their break rooms and lunch rooms set up for proper sortation and collection. All of our materials are available in their standard form, or we can work to do customization. We have the designers and staff members to do that work as needed. It's not something that a lot of people take up as an option. They usually just use the default materials. And of course, we translate all our materials into I think it's 18 or 20 different languages now. And we work to create those materials, which is the process of taking translation and then checking that with folks from that cultural community to make sure that they're appropriately translated and the messaging is actually, sending the right kind of instructions as you intend. Yeah, so we work with many brands, many companies to create customized posters that really drill down and show specifically what might be on site in the waste stream for their staff and customers to focus on. And we provide free bins. It's not an unlimited resource. We do kind of pick and choose which customers we work with on this, but basically, yeah, these are free bins that are provided, and I will move quickly through the final slides here, but our bins are plastic in nature. They're very basic, they're labeled, and it really provides a great tool for businesses to get going. Paper towel composting is another thing that we do. We provide bins for that, signage and posters, stickers. Again, it's legacy work. I can't encourage enough. I know there's a question about, what do we do, what do we want to do? And here's a slide in the deck, which you can go to the website afterwards and see, so you can see the detailed information about what the different laws are. And I'm wrapping up here, Jorge. A couple programmatic elements real quick is targeted universalism. It's an approach we're taking to make sure we reach every business. And these strategies are specifically intended to reach our immigrant refugee-owned businesses, businesses that have English as a second language. And number 4, that really encapsulates what targeted universalism is. It's finding the challenges and helping businesses move through that. So it's a structure it provides us, it's data-based, and it provides us a good guide for making sure that we reach all of our communities, all of our customers. I also want to quickly mention about reuse. As my bio mentions, I spent a lot of time on reuse. That's our new big push in Seattle. We're really encouraging businesses to shift from single-use packaging to reusables. We currently have a $500 incentive to any business who wants to drop single-use packaging and move to durable dine-in dishware or reuse as a service through some of our service providers locally. And then finally, we recognize businesses who are doing a great job through our EnviroStars business recognition program. It's a statewide program. Many agencies are participants to that, and we together provide recognition, and it's across the board on environmental resource conservation oriented programs, not just solid waste. And that concludes my presentation. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much, Pat. Really appreciate this. Let's see if I can go back to my slides. Yeah, I really like what you mentioned about policies helping each other out, residential, commercial. Let's see if I can go here. There we go. Yeah, and also, just the strong partnerships over the years with the infrastructure to help you, get to where you're today. So I'm going to wrap up the webinar now to close this recording before we move into the Q&A. So I just want to thank you all three for sharing so many details, insights, and lessons learned about your program. We invite everybody to join us on webinar number 4 as we explore the private hauler side of things on August 21st at noon Eastern Time. Our speakers are going to be Justin Sinkbell from Compost Now, Chris Wood from Moonshot Compost, and a third one to be determined. So stay tuned. You can log into or go into, you can scan this QR code or type in bpiworld.org/webinars to find previous recordings and register for the next ones. So thank you all.